Imagine you're 30,000 feet in the air. The skies are clear. The coffee's hot. You've got your headphones in and your phone on airplane mode, just vibing. Then, the plane starts to descend. But no one told the passengers, not the flight crew, not even air traffic control. And the worst part? This isn't turbulence. It's intentional. The man flying the plane, the one who's supposed to keep you safe, has just locked the captain out of the cockpit, and he's not opening the door. This is the terrifying, unbelievable true story of when the pilot became the hijacker. March 24th, 2015. Germanwings Flight 9525 takes off from Barcelona, headed for Dusseldorf. It's an Airbus A320, cruising like clockwork. At 9:30 a.m., the captain, 34-year-old Patrick Sondenheimer, leaves the cockpit for a bathroom break. Nothing unusual, it's standard, except the co-pilot, Andreas Lubitz, takes that exact moment to reset the autopilot, slowly, methodically, into a descent pattern straight toward the French Alps. And then, he locks the door. At first, no one notices, but within minutes, air traffic control realizes something's wrong. The plane is descending, fast, and no one's responding. Marseille tries multiple frequencies. Another aircraft even tries to hail them. Silence. Dead air. At 9:41 a.m., radar contact is lost. The plane crashes into a mountainside at full speed. 150 lives, gone. No survivors, no warning. This wasn't a mechanical failure or a hijacking in the traditional sense. This was something far darker, a calculated plan from someone trusted to fly. So, who was Andreas Lubitz? At first glance, a golden boy, 27 years old, childhood dreamer obsessed with aviation, posters of airplanes on his bedroom wall, trained glider pilot by his teens, straight into Lufthansa's prestigious flight school after graduation. But under that polished exterior, chaos. In 2008, Lubitz was pulled from training after suffering a major depressive episode. He was put on medication, monitored by psychiatrists, and grounded for months. Eventually, doctors deemed him in remission, and Lufthansa allowed him to return. But there was a catch. If he ever relapsed, he'd lose his flying credentials, so he stopped talking. When applying for a US FAA license, he lied about his diagnosis, a felony-level lie that could have ended his career. But somehow, he was given a second chance. By 2013, he was flying with Germanwings, a low-cost Lufthansa subsidiary. But in 2014, his mental health was unraveling again. He visited multiple doctors for strange visual symptoms, stars, flashes, halos. No one could find a cause. Some believed it was psychosomatic. One even suspected early psychosis. Still, he kept flying. Then, just days before the crash, he started researching the Airbus A320's cockpit locking mechanism. What he found gave him total control. After 9/11, airlines reinforced cockpit doors, bulletproof, secure, virtually impenetrable. The idea was to keep hijackers out, but no one thought to ask, what happens if the hijacker is already in? Here's how the system works. Crew members outside the cockpit can request access using a keypad. Inside, the pilot has to manually allow entry. In emergencies, there's a special override code that gives access, but only after 30 seconds, unless the person inside hits lock. And that's exactly what Lubitz did. He hit lock. From that moment, no one could get in. Not the captain, not the cabin crew, not even with the emergency code. The override was useless. The cockpit voice recorder later captured Captain Sondenheimer pounding on the door, trying to break it down, screaming, begging. Meanwhile, Lubitz sat in silence, breathing calmly, as he guided the plane into a mountain. But Lubitz didn't just slip through the cracks. He walked right through a system that was never designed to catch someone like him. Here's the most chilling part. Multiple doctors had declared Lubitz unfit to fly. He received sick notes. He was diagnosed with depression. He was urged to seek inpatient psychiatric treatment, and he ignored it all. Worse, none of his doctors informed the airline. Why? In Germany, doctor-patient confidentiality is almost sacred. Unless someone poses an immediate, obvious threat to others, doctors rarely break it. And pilots? They're expected to self-report. Mental health on the honor system. The system didn't fail because it was weak. It failed because it trusted him not to lie. Lubitz bypassed every safety net, not by hacking the system, but by using it exactly as it was designed. After the crash, everyone asked the same question: how do we stop this from happening again? The crash of Germanwings 9525 changed aviation forever. The European Aviation Safety Agency introduced new guidelines. Airlines implemented the two-person cockpit rule: no more being alone at the controls, ever. Psychological screening for pilots was overhauled. Lufthansa quietly rebranded Germanwings as Eurowings. Though the rebrand had already been planned, the timing spoke volumes. Lubitz's family went silent. Captain Sondenheimer's wife launched a foundation in his memory to help children navigate grief and trauma. He was a father of 2. He died trying to save everyone on board. Lufthansa paid compensation to victims' families, but for many, no payout could balance what was lost. This wasn't just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call, a reminder that systems built to keep us safe still rely on one fragile factor: human behavior. Because this wasn't a terrorist with a bomb, it was a trusted professional who spiraled silently and took 149 lives with him. If this story shook you, or made you look at flying differently, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more real stories, told boldly, coming your way. Because truth isn't just stranger than fiction. Sometimes it's more terrifying.